And with that, we say welcome in to the best damn sports podcast, period. This is Sentell's Intel. You know who I am, the sensational Sentell Whiteman, a.k.a. Mr. No Days Off, a.k.a. the one-man dynasty. It is the first overreaction Monday of the season 5. Can you believe that? It's the first overreaction Monday of season 5. Can you believe that? I mean, we haven't heard. What? No audio. You know me? Okay. Come on, man. Come on now. I'm looking right at the screen. My man said I had no audio. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. But welcome to the show, man. It's the hottest sports podcast in the South. Sentell. We're live, man. Facebook. Again, like I was saying, can you believe it? This is the first. This is the first overreaction Monday of the season. We missed last Monday. We had some things that go on. And then the previous Monday, I think it was Labor Day. So we missed our overreaction Monday. I love overreaction Monday because we come in here and we kind of just go overboard about what we've seen from the weekend in college football. Some of you people waking up this morning talking about how bad your NFL team is, how bad your college team is, or your college team is the greatest, or your NFL team is the best. So we call it Overreaction Monday because typically we kind of go a little bit overboard on Mondays without any kind of, we don't know how to absolutely just pull back the curtain on Overreaction Monday. But hey, let me begin the show. I like to call this, the opening headline. This is what we do. We got an opening headline, what I saw, what, is hot, fresh on my mind. And I have to start with last night. I mean, I just have to instantly go to last night's game. The Chiefs and the Ravens, what an absolute thriller in B-more last night. Lamar Jackson finally gets the monkey off his back, as you can say. He finally beat Patrick Mahomes after being beat the last 3 or 4 previous meetings. I think 3 or 4 previous meetings. The last one, he only scored 9 points. But he was absolutely brilliant last night for all of the haters and all of the doubters. He was absolutely spectacular last night. He got it done in a big way. Shuck off a pick 6 interceptions, some overthrows. He threw 2 interceptions in the game, but this guy just battled and battled and battled. And all I can think about is all of the idiots and all of the experts they came out right beginning of the draft, his draft class, and talking about move positions and change positions and yada 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 yada, so on and so on. And I watched this guy wreck college football at Louisville. You watch him wreck college football at Louisville. You watch him win an MVP, the youngest MVP ever in the NFL. All he's done is been to the playoffs. Every year he's been a starter, but yet we continue to criticize him at every turn. But the guy is just an absolute gamer. A gamer. That's what he is, an absolute gamer. And I would not want any other guy behind my center in a big game. Man, Lamar Jackson, he showed up. He showed out. Get him his props. Give him his due. He did the damn thing last night. So big ups to L Boogie. He did the thing last night. Ravens over the Chiefs, 36-35 in a classic ball game. All right. We'll run through the quick top 10 scores from the college football season, and then in the NFL over the weekend, give you the scores, and then we'll introduce you to our guest, and we'll talk more in depth about the college football and the NFL season. Top 10 in the college football this past weekend results. Number 1, Alabama went down to Gainesville. Yours truly happened to be in the building with the number 1 ranked Clemson Tide over the 11 ranked Gators, 31-29. A damn good football game. One that I was had the privilege of being in attendance. Wish the Gators could have got the win, but it was a damn good game. No more victories here. Number 2, Georgia ran all over South Carolina as expected, but the Gamecocks, however, to degenerates out there, the Gamecocks did cover. 40-13, the Gamecocks did cover, but Georgia just ran all over Carolina. This is a complete mismatch. Number 3, Oklahoma struggled mightily with Nebraska. And Oklahoma has not looked good in the first 3 games of the season. They have not looked dominant. They have not looked like the team that I predicted to win the national championship. So that concerns me just a little bit. Number 4, Oregon was over Stony Brook 48-7. We're not going to talk about that. Iowa, number 5 team in the country, they roll over Kent State. It was number 6 Clemson. We're going to talk about Clemson a little later. But they beat Georgia Tech 14-6. And they had a 2-hour delay. They had a 2-hour weather delay in between. But 14-6 Clemson, like I said, we'll talk more about them in a little bit. Number 7, Texas A&M all over New Mexico, 34-0. The Cincinnati Bearcats, who I have in the playoffs, went on the road to Indiana, got to a sluggish start. Were able to shake that off, come back 38-24 over the Hoosiers. Number 9, Ohio State, another team who has not looked well, struggled for most of the game. They end up winning 41-21, but this game was not. That score is not indicative of how much Ohio State struggled against Tulsa. And the big one up in Happy Valley, the number 10 Penn State Nittany Lions beat the 22nd ranked Auburn Tigers 28-20. What a game that was! That was a great atmosphere. I told you last week that I didn't believe in Bo Nix. I know they had played very well the first 2 games. I thought it was smoke and mirrors. But you got to get up James Franklin and the Penn State, man. They're playing good football, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They're not very fancy. They're not very – it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing at times. But they get it done. They get it done. So Penn State, that rises to the top 10. On to your NFL scores from this past weekend. Let's start on Thursday night, week 2. Washington over the Giants in a really good ball game. Giants win. Washington wins on a game-winning field goal. With the Bears over the Bengals, 20-17. And the dog got a little nicked up. And Justin Fields finished that game. Didn't look too hot, but they get the win. It was the Browns over the Texans in an entertaining ball game. The Rams beat the Colts in a really good game, 27-24. The Bills all over the Dolphins. I keep telling you people. I keep telling you people. I know I'm piling on. I get it. I'm piling on Tua. I'm piling them on. I know you got hurt yesterday, but this is what I'm telling you. I don't believe in this guy. Often injured, and I just didn't see a guy who could compete in the NFL level when you put like talent around against him or around him. Because in Alabama, when you have 4, 5 top number 1 receivers, the best offensive line in football, and the greatest coach in college football, it's easy to look real good. So I never been impressed with the guy. But 35-0. The Bills beat the Dolphins yesterday, 35-0. In a complete wipeout. Patriots over the Jets. Zach Wilson had his welcome to the NFL moment. 4 picks. The 49ers eked out a win and get the Eagles 17-11 in Philly. It was the Raiders over the Steelers. Derek Carr has played very, very, very well in the first 2 weeks of the season. Not going to throw no parade for him, but the Raiders, Derek Carr has played tremendously well in the first 2 weeks of the season. It was the Panthers over the Saints. Look, I know it's early, and this is Overreaction Monday. I know it's early, and this is Overreaction Monday, but yours truly, had the Panthers in the playoffs. I know it's early, but man, okay, the Panthers, 26-7 on the Saints yesterday. It looked really, really good. It was the Broncos also touring over the Jaguars. We're not going to get too excited. They beat the Jaguars and the Giants. It was the Jags and the Giants. But hey, Teddy Bridgewater got hurt yesterday. So we don't know what his status is. But the Broncos 2-0 over the Jags, 23-13. It was the Cardinals in a thriller over the Vikings. Vikings had a chance to win the game in the regulation with a 37-yard field goal. And you know how it goes. I tell you this all the time. When you expect them to make the kicks, the kickers don't make them. When they had the long kicks to get win game winners, there's no expectations. So they go out and kick freely because no one expects those to make those kicks. But when you get those chip shots and those ones you're supposed to make, those are the ones they always seem to miss. And they did yesterday in a good game. Cardinals over the Vikings, 34-33. It was the Buccaneers and Tom Brady. Look, you know what, man? You know what? Tom Brady, hey, look. Tom Brady gives me hope. You know, it gives me hope, man. You know, he gives me hope. I mean, life will begin for me at 40 because Tom Brady has given me that hope that life begins at 40. He was tremendous yesterday, 5 TD passes. Now, let me get it twisted. They won the Falcons. You know, I went to the season thinking maybe the Eagles might be the worst team in football, but I'm beginning to think it's the Atlanta Falcons, and I have no idea why they kept Matt Ryan. Zero reason. 48-25, Buccaneers over Falcons. And then a thriller, the Cowboys hit a game-winning field goal. Greg Zuerlein from 56 yards, 2017, Cowboys over Chargers. And then Tennessee and defeated the Seahawks in overtime 33-30 in a game where the Tennessee Titans made a tremendous comeback. Derrick Henry was for 185 yards, 3 touchdowns. And I think Seahawks, they gave this game away. I'm happy as an NFC West representative that somebody lost. The NFC West was like undefeated. And then I thought Seahawks had won, and then they ultimately lose. So big ups to Tennessee for coming back to beat the Seahawks 33-30. And I mentioned the Ravens over the Chiefs last night. So let's get my guests on here, and I'll introduce you to these guys. Let me get these guys on here. They've been waiting for a minute. They have been waiting. So I want to get these. That's not what hey, that's what I want to do. So let me start on my left. Introducing my main man. You see he's rocking all this Georgia red and black. It's making me freaking ill, making me sick to my stomach, but I'm glad he's here as a Cal graduate. So I like this guy already because he went to my high school, so it's cool. So I got Alex McMahon. I'm going to call him Alex Mack right now on one side, and to my right, diehard Buccaneers fan, and he's also a Florida Gator fan to my right. That's Anthony Esposito. He's here. Let's give it up to both of them. Gentlemen, welcome. Gentlemen, welcome. Y'all there? Alex?
What's going on, man?
Wait, yeah, hey, there you go. I'm sorry. I think I might have had y'all muted, but I got y'all on right now. Can y'all both hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
Did y'all hear? Alex, did you hear? Yeah. Did you hear what I said about the Georgia's colors? Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard you.
Oh, I was hoping you didn't hear me because I had you muted. But that's neither here nor there. But I got a cool story before I get into talking to these guys, because I got a story from Anthony here, man. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm jealous. And I'm about to make all of you guys jealous. You know, he's a Buccaneers fan. So, but this guy was actually on the field for Super Bowl 55 when his Buccaneers won the Super Bowl last year. So, you can suck on that because I am jealous and I'm envious of this man being on the sideline to watch his team win the Super Bowl. That's the ultimate thing. So, Anthony, you know, rub that in everybody's face and tell us why you was on the sideline for Super Bowl 55.
Listen, basically, I mean, it was a tremendous opportunity. You know, I've personally worked for the Buccaneers team for roughly, 10, 11 years now. But the game, I had a buddy actually offer to bring me to it as, a courtesy. Him and I were friends. And, being able to be in that and being able to be in that atmosphere, it was just something that, I didn't fully, until I was actually kind of put into it. So overall, just being on the field, being in the atmosphere, it's different. Like, obviously the Super Bowl is a big deal, but, and your team that's playing in your home stadium, it hits different. So, opportunity of a lifetime. I wish everybody could feel the feeling I had for that, but it doesn't happen all the time. Obviously, first time ever. So, Bucks trying to run it back this. Maybe I'll take it to SoFi. How it goes.
Hey man, that's a tremendous story. When I heard that, I said I gotta get this story out of this man because I'm like, I don't even believe this. This man's on the sideline. That's neither here nor there. All right, that's kind of good to it. It's overreaction Monday, so we're gonna kind of overreact to a few things from college football. I know it's week 3, so let's do what we do, which is overvalue everybody and just knee-jerk reactions. That's why we call it Overreaction Monday. So let's get some topics and let's overreact to them, and let's just get this thing started. Because yours truly, I was at the game Saturday. I was at Alabama versus Florida, and it was a 2-point game, and Florida missed an extra point, and who knows what would have happened if it was tied and whatever. But the last 2 times the Gators have met Bama, it was a 6-point game in the SEC Championship, and it was a 2-point game this time. So the statement is the Florida Gators are the biggest threat to Alabama. Is that an overreaction or, Let's kind of calm down a little bit. Let's kind of slow our roll. Alex, what you think?
Well, they definitely play good. I was impressed by Emory Jones. I was a little suspect of him at first. I don't think that he can throw the ball as well as other quarterbacks, but he really played good and he really impressed me. I wouldn't say quite the biggest threat. Obviously, with my Georgia glasses on, I'm going to say that we are. But I do think they are a lot better than what I had originally thought. I think that they will give us a very good game in Jacksonville.
I know Alex. I mean, Anthony. I know you gonna have your orange and blue glasses on, but what say you, Mister?
I mean, Florida team have so much talent on both sides of the ball. To the fact that the Gators only lost by 2 points, with their best offensive weapon, and honestly with Grantham still at defensive coordinator, that speaks volumes of where this program is at. On personally, I that that game against Georgia is going to be extremely tough, and the Gators haven't really had true competition here up until Alabama. But if for Saturday indicative of anything, it just goes to show that Alabama can bleed, and that the Gators have the recipe to make that happen. So throwing in Anthony Richardson in that conversation, you're talking about a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I'm going. It may surprise you. I was there, but I'm gonna go with an overreaction because we lost. We got beat. So I don't. There's no. I take no silence in the fact that it was a close game. I mean, until you beat them, are you really a threat until you beat someone? They beat us 7 straight times, I believe it is now. I know it's close the last 2 times. It gives you hope, but I'm not gonna be prisoner of the moment and knee jerk. You had prepared for the guys all season. You had them at home with 92,000 people. 90,000 people going crazy. But I don't call them the biggest. I don't think the biggest threat because they haven't beat him yet. So I wouldn't call them the biggest threat. So to me, that is an overreaction as well. Let's move on. All right. Let's talk about. I told you we would talk about Clemson later and Ohio State later. So let's move on to these 2 teams. Right now, Clemson and Ohio State are not top 10 teams in the country. Alex, what you say? Is that an overreaction?
I say that's not an overreaction at all. I think that both of those teams have struggled and in different areas. As far as Clemson goes, the defense has been phenomenal. I mean, it's top 3 in the country for sure, and but the offense has been absolutely terrible. Offensive line has been terrible. DJ has been terrible. They have good receivers. They haven't been able to get the ball to. So that's been Clemson's issue so far. But as far as Ohio State, I don't think it's as much. CJ is doing pretty well at quarterback. I don't think that that's the issue. They have a very, very weak defense. I think that it needs a lot of work. But currently, no, they're not. They're not 2 top 10 teams. I agree.
Anthony, what's your take on it? That's an overreaction, or we should kind of calm down?
No, I mean, listen, I don't want to piggyback, but I mean, you're talking about 2 teams that have gone down and slipped in the standings now after winning games because nobody is actually by anything that they're doing. Ohio State barely squeaked out a win week 1 against Minnesota. They got beat by number 4, and then they played Tulsa, and obviously they won that game, but at the end of the day, it wasn't convincing at all. It wasn't like that they came in and just rocked in the way that they usually do for those lower end opponents. And in terms of Clemson, there's nothing about that offense that is, I think, threatening to anybody. Their defense, as Alex stated, is top 5 easily. I mean, that's what's going to keep them in games for the year. But that offense has so much work to do. And granted, I mean, yeah, they went against Georgia, probably the defense in college football right now. They have a very, very good offense. The fact that the 10 points is like, come on. When was the last time Georgia Tech was even relevant? So, you take into consideration, you're talking about 2 that have lost roughly 8 or 9 starters on both sides of the ball. Collectively, 8 or 9 starters on their teams since draft last year, and talking about a revamped conferences for both sides. I see one of them actually making the playoffs personally.
Yeah, man. I think this is right on cue. I do not think this is definitely not an overreaction to me. I'm looking at both these teams right now. They look like I say, Alex had hit it right on the head. That for both for different reasons. Clemson's offense is absolutely putrid right now. Just absolutely putrid. I mean, if you take out the South Carolina State game and just the two opponents, the FBS opponents, they're averaging, wait for it, 8 points a game. 8.5 points a game right now if you take out the South Carolina State game. And this is an offense the last 3 years that has averaged 43 points, 44 points, and 44.3 points a game. And that's the last 3 years. And right now they're averaging, if you throw in the South Carolina State game, they're averaging 22 points a game right now. And DJU has been god awful so far. He's 51 of 86 passing, which is 59% completion percentage, only 475 yards passing, and 1 passing TD. His average yard per attempt is 5.5 yards attempt. That is dreadful. On the Ohio State end, they haven't stopped anybody in 2 years, and that is the reason why I didn't have them in my college football playoffs, because the defense has been declining for the last couple of years. They gave up 25 points a game last year. They're giving up 28 points a game this year. They are 99th in yards allowed at 471 yards a game. They are 84th in college football against the run, giving up 181 yards a game. This is pathetic. And right now, they are not 2 top 10 teams. That could change, but this is not an overreaction. They have problems at Clemson, and they have problems at the Ohio State University. Moving along. We're going to stay in the Big Ten. We're going to stay in the Big Ten. Another Big Ten team we're going to talk about right now. They are 3-0, fresh off a big win against the Auburn Tigers. So, the statement is, Penn State is the best team in the Big Ten right now. Is that an overreaction, Alex?
No, I don't think so at all. I think defensively and offensively, they look the best so far. I like their quarterback. I like him. I think he's doing well right now. He's throwing the ball well, and they're big up front, defensive and offensive line. I think that they got it by far right now. I think that they're the best team, and I think that they'll probably win it.
Anthony, what say you?
I mean, if you're going to talk about best teams in the Big Ten, obviously Penn State's going to be up there just because, I mean, their pedigree right now is the best in that conference. I mean, they beat Wisconsin week 1 in Wisconsin. That was a massive win, and holding that team to only 10 points, that's huge. Obviously blowing out Ball State, necessary. And then Auburn comes to town, kind of an up-and-coming SEC school. When you say up-and-coming, they're finding their way, they're finding their bearings. But with Auburn, they were starting to catch fire, and Penn State really shut them down. James Franklin, even with the rumors about heading to USC, it still looks good. So personally, I think Penn State is probably the most complete team in the Big Ten as of right now. We'll see how the season unfolds, but I don't really see anybody else being a threat to them in that conference specifically.
I love James Franklin. I call him the Fighting James Franklin. And my friend Terrell Harrison, my friend is a Penn State guy. Okay, went Penn State, love Penn State, blah blah blah. And this is an overreaction for me. I like what they've done from a defensive standpoint. I don't really trust the quarterback right now. Make throws in big time games. I don't know if you can win this way consistently. Playing great defense and not having an explosive offense. This is not the way in the college football world right now. Now, what I'm about to say is an oxymoron, because I do think the best team right now in the Big Ten is Iowa, who really ain't explosive at all. But I tell you what Iowa has that Penn State does not have. They'd be the top 10 team. So I got to get Iowa tonight a little bit. Kirk Ferentz been there over like 100 years. You know, Iowa defense is really, really stout. And they have a good running game. Their quarterback not flashy either. They're not going to throw for a bunch of yards. So, you know, Penn State and Iowa kind of equal, but they're not. I'm going to give Iowa is because they have already beat a top 10 team so far. So I'm going to get a nod to Iowa right now and not Penn State. So that's where we are right now. Hey, my friend, Terrell Harris, my friend, don't take that against me. Don't hold it against me. All right, let's go back to the ACC. This, you know, as a Florida fan, you would think that this brings me joy and happiness, but this really makes me sad. This is a sad topic right here. Makes me really sad as a Florida fan. I feel real bad. By real bad, I mean I don't. But hey, here we are. All right, here's the statement right now. Overreaction Monday. Florida State will not win more than 3 games this year. Is that an overreaction, Alex?
I think it may be a slight overreaction. It was embarrassing to watch them lose to Jacksonville State, of course. And when I watched them play Notre Dame, there was a lot of hype around Mackenzie Milton, and he did well coming in at the end of that game, but he hasn't been all that since. And so they took a tough loss to Wake Forest this past Saturday, but I think they may pick up 4 or 5 wins, maybe, if they can get it together.
Anthony, go ahead. Overreaction.
That is 100% not an overreaction. The Florida State Seminoles will be lucky to sniff 3 wins this season. That team has more issues than any other football program could bring in. You know, they could honestly go out, get Jimbo Fisher back, and they would still have the same issues because Taggart set that program. Actually, Jimbo set that program so far back when he left. And then, you know, obviously the Taggart experiment didn't work out. I have no hope in anyone in that program is going to turn that thing around. Plain and simple. Nothing looks good. Nothing.
Alex, you is a glass half full guy because there's no way in hell. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm looking at the Florida State schedule right now, and they will only probably be favored in 2 games the rest of the way. They get Louisville this week. They are not favored. They'll probably be favored against Syracuse and UMass. Then they get UNC, Miami. They won't be favored. They play Clemson. They won't be favored. They play Florida. They won't be favored. I don't see how in God's green earth they get the 3 wins looking at that schedule. If anything, they definitely won't win more. They probably will. I push. If I had to go to Vegas right now and the over-under was 3, I would push and say 3. There's no way in God's green they to get to 5. There's no way in hell. Alex, I will pay you an exorbitant amount of money if they get to 5 wins. I will pay you a lot of money if they get to 5 wins. I just can't see it. So I'm going to go no way they win over 3 games. That is not an overreaction. That is a complete reaction. So I think they'll go 3. May get 3. They may get 3. I don't see them get more than 3. The last one, we go back to the Big Ten. This is an interesting question or statement. Michigan and Michigan State are legit Big Ten championship contenders. I will start with you, Alex. Is that an overreaction?
Michigan has looked good so far. I might even say, go out on a limb and say they have a chance, maybe to make the playoffs. So far they've looked convincing, and I think Michigan State hasn't looked bad. I'm not too sure. It's too early to tell with them because they come out hot some years and then kind of die off. I'm more confident in Michigan. Their running game has been good. I'm interested to see what they do with the passing game, but so far they've looked all right.
Anthony, Michigan are legit Big Ten championship contenders. Is that an overreaction?
Listen, there's only going to be room for one of them. There's definitely not going to be room for both. When you look at Michigan, you look at Michigan State, you're going to circle that calendar date of 10:30, and the winner of that game is going to be the actual contender because neither one has really had a true test. I mean, Michigan State beat the brakes off of Miami, but let's be honest, Miami hasn't been relevant in the last, I don't know, decade, maybe longer. So, I mean, when you're considering these teams like, oh, are they real or are they not? Look at who they've played, and I mean, same goes for the Wolverines. They haven't done anything either. They have Wisconsin coming up, so if they can, go into Wisconsin and do what Penn State did, utilize that defense, find a good run game, and then squeak one out, that'll be huge. But overall, until October 30th rolls around and these two teams face off against each other, I mean, it's definitely not both of them. There's only going to be room for one, but I'm going to lean towards Michigan. I think the Wolverines, I think they're going to beat Wisconsin. I also think they'll beat Michigan State when the time does come. And to be honest, my friend Corey's going to kill me for this because he's going to be watching this later on. I honestly think Michigan has an opportunity to end the streak against Ohio State and beat Ohio State this year. So we'll see how that goes too.
This is a great question, man. I'm not buying either team right now as a legit contender. I'm not buying either team because I look at the schedules, and neither one has really impressive win. I know Michigan beat Washington, but they traveled all the way across the country, and they had their hands the week before they had lost to Montana State, a Division III school. So I wasn't really impressed with Washington to begin with. I like what Mel Tucker is doing at Michigan State. Again, Miami is not any good. If you watch Miami play, you should already know they're not any good at all. Derek King was not healthy, has not been healthy. He's hurt again. He's 26 years old, 6-year senior. I have no idea. Manny Diaz is probably going to get fired this year. That's how bad Miami's been. And I like seeing Michigan be good, but they beat Western Kentucky, Northern Illinois, and Washington. That is nothing to write home about. And like Anthony said, their schedule is soft up until the point they play Wisconsin. So we're not going to know anything about Michigan until they play Wisconsin, who's traditionally giving them fits the last several years and beating them kind of handily. So I'm not about to throw up a parade for Jim Harbaugh, but I am impressed with what Mel Tucker has done at Michigan State. So I would say neither of these teams really are championship contenders. So that is your overreaction Monday topics for college football. I was going to do some NFL. Let's do some NFL off the cuff because I didn't really get into it. Let's kind of do some off the cuff NFL, a couple topics. I know y'all guys ain't ready for this, but you got to be flexible. You got to be able to adapt on this program. So let's do some overreaction NFL style. Let's start right there with Anthony Esposito's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll make this statement. Of the Tampa Bay Bucks, the overwhelming favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. Is that an overreaction, Alex?
No, not at all. Tom Brady has built a legacy, and he continues to do so year in and year out. As long as he's healthy, the Bucks are the favorite by far. They will. I think they'll take care of business this year as well.
Well, I know what Anthony's gonna say, but let's hear why he's gonna say it.
I can appreciate Alex's answer because, I mean, let's be honest here. We've never seen a player like Tom Brady ever. You think back to George Blanda, who went from quarterback to kicker and played till he was like 52 years old in the 70s. But what the biggest thing for me, and I'm gonna say it's not an overreaction. Look at the depth at every level of both sides of the football. No one comes close. I mean, between the linebacking core, the defensive line, offensively, the offensive line is one of the best in the league. You obviously have Tom Brady commanding it all, and then you have the best wide receiving core potentially of all time. When you look at Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, perennial Hall of Famer. Mike Evans, perennial Hall of Famer. Chris Godwin, I mean, he's right. I mean, he's on the cusp of having an Anquan Boldin-esque career, so that could be a very big role in what he does in terms of his future. So, and then not only that, honestly, the only real drawback to this Buccaneers team is their running backs. Rojo has a fumbling problem. Leonard Arnett is, his vision. I don't know what he's looking at or what holes he is not or is seeing, but this is not the playoff Lenny that we were accustomed to in that 3-game span last season. So it's going to be interesting, but I just genuinely believe, in my most unbiased way, that the Bucs are the runaway favorite currently for the Super Bowl.
Well, you talked about Leonard Fournette and all these problems, and I was thinking to myself, the Jaguars fans are going, hey, welcome to our world. Welcome to our world. That's what we saw for the first 3 years of this guy. That's what we didn't understand. We couldn't figure out what the hell he was going at the time anyway. But to answer the question, I don't think they're the overwhelming favorite. They have some problems on the back end. And if you look at the first game they played, the Cowboys, who have offensive weapons, so I will concede that, they gave up a lot of big plays. Atlanta, Matt Ryan is hot garbage, but he still was able to make some plays on that back end against that defense. And if you look at the teams that could potentially match up with these teams, offensive weaponry that could get them trouble. Obviously, Kansas City. I think the Cleveland Browns. In the NFC, you got Seattle and the LA Rams could give you some problems. Not going to say the San Francisco 49ers because we're not built to throw the ball that could cause you some problems in that back end. But you look at teams like that can do some things against the Buccaneers from an explosive standpoint. I ain't going to call it an overwhelming favorite, but obviously if somebody put a gun in my head and took me some money to Vegas, I would bet my money that the Buccaneers would go back-to-back. But, man, I just want to talk about Tom Brady. As a man who's approaching the age of 40 years old, he has given me tremendous hope that my life, it starts at 40. My life can begin at 40. Tom Brady has given me that hope. This man looks younger today than he did when he was 22 years old, and I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand how he's aging in reverse. And then I look at Aaron Rodgers, who's like 5 years younger than Aaron Rodgers, but he looks like he's 20 years older than Tom Brady. I don't understand what's happening. So I just want to give a shout out to Tom Brady because he makes me feel like my life will begin at 40, but they're not the overwhelming favorite. Another one. Let's get another one. Let's get another one right now. Let's get another one off the cuff. Let's talk about Dallas Cowboys for a minute. I'm going to really stir up the pot a little bit. Tony Pollard is the best running back on the Dallas Cowboys roster. Is that an overreaction, Alex?
Definitely. I would definitely say so. I mean, he's did okay. He didn't get a bunch of carries first game against the Buccaneers. I think that Zeke's been in a little bit of a slump, but I also think that they haven't really gave him the ball enough. So no, I think that's an overreaction for sure.
Anthony, what you say?
Honestly, I don't think that's an overreaction. I think that Ezekiel Elliott, for some reason, whatever it is, ever since he had to stop wearing the crop tops, my guy cannot run the football anymore. That rock is almost invisible. I mean, Tony Pollard is leading that team in rushing with 123 yards. And trust me, the Bucs have the second best rush defense in the NFL. The Chargers have a stout front seven. But Ezekiel Elliott, when he was on his game, he was still putting up numbers. For some reason, somewhere along the way, he has fallen off. And it's not just a fall off. He's averaging sub 3.5 yards a carry. Like, this guy cannot find his footing. So it's going to be really interesting to see, how that dynamic plays out, because the Cowboys have the potential to really be a threat in the NFC, but their running game has just been abysmal so far. So honestly, I think Tony Pollard, you keep riding that hot hand. He's honestly a better receiving back as well. And I think that he could, by the end of the season, especially if Zeke gets banged up again.
Oh, I lost you there for a second. I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of you. I'm with you. I don't think this is an overreaction at all. I mean, you just look at the numbers. Like you're saying, Zeke is averaging less than 3.5 yards a carry. Meanwhile, Tony Pollard comes in. I mean, I think he had 11 carries the other day for 100 yards. 11 carries for 100 yards. That's extremely impressive. And he just hits the hole. You can just see the explosion is there. Zeke does not have that burst anymore. He can still kind of bulldoze his way and push the pile, but that explosion, and he never had to make you miss type ability. So I think Tony Pollard would be the Cowboys' best option at running back. But for the meantime, you can continue this. They had this change of pace style. But I do think right now that Tony Pollard is the Cowboys' best back because, as Anthony told you, he also is a better receiving threat. So I think Tony Pollard is the best back on the Cowboys. So I don't think that's an overreaction. But that's just me. Hey, we got a question. So I'll ask the question. We got a question right here. It was about the Florida State Seminoles, and my man Bruntsy Jenkins asked, is primetime going back to Florida State? So I'll ask you, Alex, what do you think? You think Deion Sanders will ultimately end up back at Florida State as a head coach?
I would like to see it, but I would really like to see it, but I just don't. I don't know. Maybe, probably not. I don't think that. Not as a head coach. I don't think so.
What you think, Anthony? I know you're a Florida fan. For me, I'll let you answer it first. What you think about that?
I mean, that's honestly that's a dream marriage for any Florida State fan or for any fan of college football, because when you look at the way that Deion Sanders brings that energy to Jacksonville State, an FCS school, and they get pumped every weekend, that's the kind of energy and charisma that Florida State needs to return to power. So potentially, I mean, I think it's a match made in heaven. I personally don't want to see it because I love seeing Florida State in the dumps. But, I think if Florida State wants to make a splash, and if Deion can continue to, do good things to Jacksonville State, that would be the most likely candidate.
I think this is going to happen sooner than later because eventually, because he's now got the coaching experience that I'm sure all the other ADs and presidents wanted him to have, and that's why he didn't get the job, I believe, last time at Florida State, because he didn't have any coaching experience. And now you start to see prime-time, big-time jobs open up, and these people see the influence and the kind of presence that Deion has, that Prime has, man. I mean, kids gonna want to play for Prime, and as a Florida fan, I do not want to see Deion at Florida State because from a recruit standpoint, we've already slipped behind everybody in recruiting because we don't recruit as well as we used to. That would just kill us in recruiting. This positive influence that he would have down in that area, because I'm telling you, he's like he's a guy you want to follow. He's a leader, man. He's a guy that you want to listen to when he talk, and you would just follow him. He has a natural aura about him. But I'm telling you, they need to do it sooner rather than later because you got a USC job that's open. I'm not saying he'll get that USC job, but as these prime, big-time opening jobs continue to come open, they're going to reach out to Deion. So if I'm Florida State and I don't win 3 games this year, you didn't give Jim, you only gave Willie 2 years. What's the reason not to give Norvell only 2 years? If he only gets 2 wins this year, I would say sayonara, and I would be driving down to Jackson, Mississippi with a big bag in my hand and a blank check. And I would tell Deion, let's get you back on up here to Tallahassee where you belong. So that's what I would do. That's good. It's not an overreaction question. It's a who you got type situation. And I want to use 2 quarterbacks right now who are playing really, really well, but they traditionally kind of fall off toward the end of the season or haven't had playoff success or haven't been to the playoff at all. So here are the 2 quarterbacks. Which of these 2 quarterbacks do you believe in the most? Matt Stafford or Derek Carr? And I'll start with the Georgia fan. Which one of the quarterbacks you believe in the most?
Derek Carr has played really. He played well this past week, actually really good. But Matthew Stafford has been put in a system that hasn't allowed him to thrive, and he's still thrown for a bunch of yards. He's played well, but now that he's at the Rams, I think that people are really going to get to see the true Matthew Stafford. I think that he's going to make a deep playoff run this year. I like his chances. I think he's really good this year. I think that's a really fit for him at the Rams.
Who do you believe in more, Anthony? Matt Stafford or Derek Carr?
I have an extremely hard time giving any Georgia player any kind of credibility. However, Matt Stafford is the most underrated quarterback in the NFL. Far and away. I think that Matt Stafford has every tool and characteristic needed to be successful at this level. And people will complain, he had Calvin Johnson, he didn't get it done. He had Garrett Blunt for a season, he didn't get it done. You are talking about the Detroit Lions organization that has never been successful. They wasted Barry Sanders. They wasted Calvin Johnson. They wasted Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford has been put into a position, and this is the only team that I truly think can come close to the Bucs in the NFC. But Matt Stafford has been put in a position to where he has all the weapons he needs. He has a good offensive line. I think it's Darrell Henderson Darrell Henderson. I mean, he can run the rock. Yeah, you're talking about a potent offense with a fantastic defense. Aaron Donald's like the best defensive player to come in the league since Ray Lewis. And then you have Jalen Ramsey on the backside. This is a true contender this year, and I think Matt Stafford is just 10 times the quarterback that Jared Goff ever was or ever will be. So I think Matt Stafford, hands down. Derek Carr's, Derek Carr in that Gruden West Coast system is just not the guy. He's just not the guy.
Is he just the guy?
he is just he is just below. He is just below. I mean,
I just want to see my boy Terrell Harrison go. He likes when I say that, but I don't know. Man, it's a tough one for me. Both of you guys picked Matthew Stafford. I hear what you're saying about, Detroit, how bad they were, but that's why they drafted you to lift the franchise up, and he was never able to lift the franchise up. And he threw for a lot of meaningless yards to me, a lot of games where he threw them in trouble. He caused them to get behind, and then he go throw for 1 billion yards to kind of catch back up. So I never, even though he had tremendous talent, I kind of got to go with Derek Carr. I kind of like what Derek Carr is made of. He kind of, if he makes mistakes, he holds himself accountable. And the team really likes to play with him. I haven't heard that much about what the Rams players say about Stafford, but I know in Detroit, I didn't hear a lot of guys coming to bat for Matthew Stafford. But the Raiders guys, they come to bat for Derek Carr, Darren Waller. And you look at both offenses, they got Henry Ruggs, Darren Waller. They got some weapons out there in L.A., and Oakland, Las Vegas, good God almighty. And then the Rams got Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and some other guys. But I'm going to go with Derek Carr, man. I believe in Derek Carr more than I believe in Matthew Stafford. I think, both teams, the Rams have a better team. So they are built for more success. But who I believe in more, I believe more in Derek Carr. I believe this is the real Derek Carr. I'm having a hard time believing that this is the real Matthew Stafford and that this will continue. So we shall see. Okay. I would go to Alex, man. Let's go back to college football on Saturday. I know you're a Georgia fan and all this and that and other things, but what kind of, what caught your eye over the weekend in college football? Kind of some players, some games. What caught your eye over the weekend in college football?
Well, like you said, first I'll start off with a personal one. I think JT Daniels is legit. I know he hasn't. I'm not saying he's faced anybody tremendously good on defense. South Carolina is not awful on defense, but I have confidence in him. I think that he's our guy. I was really impressed with that. Moving like we talked about Clemson earlier, I'm scared to say that I don't think they're going to get it together this year, which is different because we're used to seeing Clemson so successful. But I think this year they're going to struggle. Outside of those two, there were some more interesting games. Ohio State was real sluggish on defense. They finally started to break away towards the end. And, but those in the Alabama-Florida game, of course, we already spoke on that. But I think that Florida is for real this year, which should make you happy, you being the Gator that you are.
Go ahead, Anthony. What player, game, what stood out to you over the weekend in college football?
Honestly, what's standing out to me the most is Ole Miss. Ole Miss is on a absolute tear. First off, their first three opponents haven't been all that great. You got Louisville, they put 43 up, Appalachian State 54, and then they go against Tulane, who, remind you, took Oklahoma down to the wire week 1. So, they obviously have some talent there. I don't know how much. Obviously, they're an FCS school, or a non-Power 5, excuse me. But now they're approaching a gauntlet. You got Alabama, you got Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, and then Auburn. So the next 5 games for Ole Miss are going to be extremely telling of how good Matt Corral and Lane Kiffin are. And I think Matt Corral, dark horse Heisman candidate. Buddy has 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns through these first 3 games, and he shows no signs of slowing down. So let's see how it goes. Like I said, super impressed with Ole Miss. Texas A&M still, charging away. Like you mentioned earlier, Iowa in the Big Ten. It's going to be it's a fun year so far, but Ole Miss right now, dark horse candidate to thrust themselves into contention for some serious accolades.
Man, I like this guy. This guy pays attention. Ole Miss down there minding their own business, Lane Kiffin minding their own business, but that offense is absolutely superb. They put up 1,000 points last year. They was getting off and just dominating people offensively. And this year, they just picked off where they left off from last year. And Matt Corral is this system just fits him like a glove. I mean, it's high-tempo offense. I mean, they had over 400 yards of offense and 40 points at halftime last week. They was just laying the wood last week. I mean, they have just been sensational. They got big-time receivers at every level. The running back, Jerrion Ely. They got the big back. I can't think of the kid's name. It hit right on top of my tongue. But they have a lot of offensive weapons. Lane Kiffin is one of the best play callers in college football. So that is big time. I'm glad you picked that up, man, Matt Corral. For me, look, I know I'm a little biased, but, for me, I've been telling folks that would listen to me that Alabama is not what you have made them out to be this year. They are not as good as you think they are. And nobody can blame them for not being as good as they have been. They have lost 3 top offensive linemen. They lost 2 first-round receivers, a first-round quarterback, a first-round running back, and the receivers that they replaced those guys with are not even in the same league as the guys that they lost. Their defense has been subpar for several years now. And the quarterback is he's a really good player. I don't think he's quite Matt Jones yet. I don't think he's even Tua yet. And the other guy, I'm missing somebody. But Alabama is not as good as people think they are. And the reason why I pick it back on that, because you said Ole Miss. That Ole Miss-Alabama game, I don't think Ole Miss is going to make the mistakes that Florida made in that game offensively. And they're going to be able to put some points up. You remember the game last year, it was 62-49. I remember 63-49, I believe it was. I think Ole Miss defense is not as good as Florida's defense, so that could be an issue at the end. But that Ole Miss-Alabama game would be one to watch. I'm really looking forward to that. But the point is, Alabama is not invincible as the media and the sports talking heads would lead you to believe that they are. All right. Let's move to Sunday. All right, Alex, let's start with you again. What player or team or what stood out to you most about the NFL Sunday this past weekend?
I have I'm gonna go with a disappointment. I'm disappointed in Lawrence and the Jaguars. He has been terrible so far. He threw, I think, 3 picks the week before and 2 this week. He hasn't been. That was really disappointing. And I don't like to see a Clemson player thrive. I'm a big Clemson hater. I'll be straightforward about it. But I was really disappointed with the way he played. I think he's got a lot better in him.
Oh, all right, Anthony. What stood out for you on the NFL Sunday?
I think overall, it's the state of the rookie quarterback. I mean, you look at kind of like what Alex said. Trevor Lawrence, 3 picks. Zach Wilson did his best Sam Darnold impression, seeing ghosts out there. 4 interceptions against a vaunted, Bill Belichick defense. That's tough. Trey Lance still sitting on the bench, riding pine right now. And then Davis Mills tried to come in for Tyrod Taylor, of all people, against the Browns and just looks like garbage. So I think overall the state of the rookie quarterback, just goes to show you, just because you're a high priority pick doesn't mean you're ready for the big league. 100%. And I think the only person that might be ready for an actual game is Justin Fields, and Matt Nagy can't get out of his own way to bench a guy that he promised the position to, because Justin Fields should be on that field every play of every game. The guy is ready. He is so pro-ready, it's unbelievable. But Nagy just wants to sit there and protect him, and he almost cost his team the game. So maybe we'll see that switch coming in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, Dalton got hurt yesterday, so Fields did come in mop-up duty. I don't know what the status would be of Andy Dalton coming this week. It says a bone bruise, so we shall see. I'm with you. I think Matt Jones, from a mental standpoint, it can play. I think from a mental standpoint. Now, physically, I don't know yet. But, of course, I think Trevor got dropped into the worst situation of all those guys. Well, with, the Jets, Jaguars, pissing in one hand, shit in the other. Both situations are fucking terrible. But I think Matt Jones is in the best situation, and he's more mentally ready than all of those guys. But for me, I started with the show with this. I'm gonna end the show with this. It's the Ravens beating the Chiefs. I went into that game going, the Ravens have no chance. They're down there 3 running backs. They're down a couple receivers. Lamar had looked like poop against them in the past. They get down on a pick 6 early in that game, and you're thinking, here we go again, here we go again. They get down by 11 in the fourth quarter, but Lamar picks the team up on his back. I mean, he put him on his back, carried him to a win. That was as gutsy a performance as you're ever going to see. A guy who literally picked his team up and said, get on my back. We're not losing this damn football game. In that moment of the game, on 4th and 1, with about a minute to go, John Harbaugh calls out to Lamar, do you want to go for this? He didn't ask the special team coach. He didn't ask the running backs coach. He didn't ask the coordinator. He looked out there to his franchise quarterback and asked, do you want to go for this? And Lamar said, hell yeah, let's go for this. And guess what? They kept it in his hand, and L15 say, game over, game set, Matt. Lamar Jackson finally beats Patrick Mahomes. So I thought that was my biggest takeaway from this NFL Sunday, and what a way to conclude the NFL Sunday with the Ravens and the Chiefs. So I want to thank these guys and give these guys their last words. Alex, I'll give you the last word. Your party shots.
Can you say that one more time? You cut it out for a second.
I was saying we're going to give you the last word because we're going to get out of here. So your last words as you leave the show today.
Appreciate you for having me, man. Go Dogs.
Absolutely. Anthony.
Hey, mimicking what Alex said, thank you very much for having me on, Sentell. Bigger thing, Jameis Winston is a fraud. He is who he thought he was. He's gonna throw 5 touchdowns one week, 2 interceptions and no touchdowns the next, and then you're gonna get a decent game out of him the following. The guy is inconsistent if inconsistent was a person. So that's my parting shot right there.
Well, I want to thank you, Jeff, for joining us. I will see y'all guys next time. Thank you, Alex Mack. Thank you, Anthony Esposito. Appreciate you guys' time. I'll see you next time.
Have a good one.
All right, that was Alex and Anthony Esposito. Man, we had a fun time with him. I wish I had he stole my thunder because I should have said about Alabama. I should have said they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the damn hook because they are who I thought they were, and we let them off the hook. What a good show, man. Let everybody get up out of here, man. Monday Night Football, the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers are on right now. Both teams are 0-1 looking for their first win of the season. Can the Packers bounce back from a horrific performance with the Detroit Lions, get their first win of the season under new head coach? I forgot, Dan Campbell or whatever his damn name is. So I want to thank Anthony again. I want to thank Alex again for joining us on the show. I want to thank all you guys who commented and was a part of this show today. This has been the best damn sports podcast, period. Sentell, you know I am the sensational Sentell Wideman, a.k.a. Mr. Know It Off, a.k.a. the one-man dynasty. I will be back again next Thursday, and we will discuss the week in college football and look ahead to the week in the NFL. So I will see you guys next Thursday. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Sentell. I will see you next week. I am out.